Good morning, and thank you for joining me. A major winter storm is about to make its presence felt across the United States, and this particular system is going to bring with it a mixture of heavy snow and ice. We are tracking a fast-moving low-pressure system that will gain strength as it moves from the Central Plains toward the East Coast, spreading a dangerous combination of heavy snow and icy conditions from Kansas all the way through Maine. A widespread area of accumulating snowfall is expected to begin in the Central Plains. This system will travel all the way through New England, with many areas on track to receive 3 to 7 inches of snow. However, the greatest concern is a concentrated corridor of heavy snow from the Great Lakes to the northeast, where double-digit snowfall totals are certainly possible. Places such as Erie, Albany, Worcester, and Concord could be in line for over a foot of snow if the strongest bands of precipitation become stationary. Now, with most winter storms, snow is typically the primary concern. But I need to tell you that this particular winter storm is going to produce something that is potentially far more dangerous. That is correct. We are expecting widespread freezing rain, which will be a possibility across Arkansas, Kentucky, West Virginia, and even into the higher elevations of the Carolinas. Even a very light glaze of ice can make for treacherous travel conditions. In southern Vermont, and also back over near Lake Erie, where there is a possibility for some lake-effect snow on top of what we will be seeing from the main storm. It is definitely looking likely that we could have a few areas with significant snowfall accumulation. But across the board, once again, we expect a widespread 3 to 7 inches of snow. And then there will definitely be some areas that, yes, I am in a completely different location today. Believe it or not, I am speaking to you from a cruise ship right now, in the middle of the Caribbean Sea. I am on vacation here for the next 7 days, but I will still be providing important weather forecasts as they are needed. And I believe this one is certainly needed, as we have a dangerous winter storm developing in the United States at this very moment. So, let's get right into the details. Here is what the situation looks like this morning. We already have some bands of moderate snowfall moving across parts of Kansas, along with a little bit of freezing rain over in Oklahoma, northwest Arkansas, and southwest Missouri that is beginning to intensify. This is a significant concern throughout the morning and into the early afternoon. We are going to have this very light area of freezing drizzle and rain that is going to stretch from Little Rock, Arkansas, back through Joplin, Missouri. What this means is that if even a small amount of freezing rain accumulates on the roadways, conditions will become very slippery on any untreated surfaces. I am honestly quite concerned that we will see a lot of that throughout the day today in Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma, and southern Missouri. As we approach the lunchtime hour, that area of snow is going to expand in size, stretching from central Kansas back into western Illinois. Freezing rain will continue to be a threat across northern Arkansas and southern Missouri, and then we will see a great deal of heavy rain farther south toward the Gulf Coast. So, we are not expecting any sort of wintry weather back over in Louisiana, Mississippi, or Texas. By the late afternoon, that snow is going to continue to grow in coverage. This is mainly because we have two different air masses that are converging. We have one system coming over the Rocky Mountains and another one moving up from the Gulf of Mexico. All of that moisture is going to merge into one large storm system as we head into late Monday night and early Tuesday, which means that our snow is going to not just become larger in terms of covering multiple states, but it is also going to be coming down even more heavily. So, we will start to deal with heavy snowfall as we move into the evening hours on Monday across Illinois and even over near Indianapolis. Then, freezing drizzle will continue to be a threat in far western Kentucky, near areas like Mayfield, as well as southeast Missouri and northeastern Arkansas. Over near Jonesboro, we could even experience a brief period of freezing rain, which means ice accumulation is a possibility on untreated roadways, especially as we head into late Monday night and early Tuesday morning. That snow is going to expand in size even further. Please notice all of those dark blue shades that are appearing all across the Ohio Valley. That is an indication of much heavier snowfall, and the snowfall rates will be as high as 2 to 3 inches per hour. This is going to be a rather intense winter weather event, but the good news for those who do not want snow is that this is a very fast-moving, low-pressure system. So, for most of you, this will only last about 4 to 6 hours. This snow is also going to be quite wet, which means it will not stack up very quickly on the ground. However, this will certainly add to the snow totals that we just received over the last couple of days, where many of you saw record-breaking snowfall amounts for the month of November. This includes areas near Fort Wayne, Indiana, and even back in central Illinois near Springfield and St. Louis. Then, during the overnight hours, we are going to see some freezing rain across parts of Kentucky, southern Ohio, and even back just to the west of Nashville. Again, this precipitation will be very, very light, but it might just be enough to make some roadways slick out there. It is not going to accumulate into an ice storm, for example, because of how quickly the system is moving. But what will become dangerous is that on the backside of this low-pressure system, we will have that freezing rain, and then we will have all of this moderate to heavy snowfall. So, we could have a little bit of black ice on Tuesday morning, and on top of that, we could even have some snowfall accumulation on the roads. There could be a double-edged sword. Essentially, in some locations, with a very thin layer of ice, and also some snow, which could lead to some school cancellations or at least delays on Tuesday morning. That heavy snow will then move into the northeast on Tuesday morning. This is by around 7 o'clock in the morning. We will have snow covering all of Pennsylvania and New York, and also moving into New England. And then eventually, during the afternoon hours, we are talking about some very heavy snowfall across parts of New York, back over near Albany, and even near Worcester in Massachusetts. There could be some moderate to heavy snowfall there. You folks, however, are going to be right on the dividing line between rain and snow. And then, over in New Hampshire, Maine, and Vermont, a quick-hitting nor'easter is going to be happening during the daytime on Tuesday. Then, by Tuesday evening, most of the snow is going to be winding down. It will still be snowing across Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont all the way through about midnight, but if you are anywhere else in the Northeast, all the snow will basically be finished by the evening hours. So, this will be a very quickly moving nor'easter, but it is certainly going to cause some significant problems. Now, let's talk more about just how much snow and ice we can expect from this winter storm over the next couple of days, beginning with our snowfall accumulation across the Central Plains and the Midwest. For the most part, we are talking about a widespread 2 to 4 inches of snow. Parts of Kansas could actually have isolated areas that receive closer to 5 inches of snow back over in central Kansas. But generally speaking, it is going to be a fairly quick-moving system. We are not really talking about a major winter storm for Missouri, Kansas, or even western Illinois. But again, for those of you in Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, a lot of this new snow is just going to accumulate on top of what we already have on the ground. We are expecting at least a widespread 2 to 4 inches of snow. I do think it is realistic to see around 3 to 6 inches, and perhaps even close to 4 to 8 inches of snow in parts of central and eastern Indiana and western and northern Ohio. So, there is definitely some hope there if you were truly looking forward to more snow. I do believe that any farther to the south, such as near Nashville, for example, I do not really see there being much snow. We could have some snow flurries on the backside of the storm during the early morning on Tuesday, but there is almost no chance that we will actually see significant snowfall accumulation in Tennessee. And then back over in the Northeast and also the Eastern Ohio Valley and through the Mid-Atlantic, we are talking about some much more impressive snowfall totals across these areas. One area that is definitely trending upward in terms of snow totals compared to yesterday is Pennsylvania, as well as New York and even parts of New England, where we will likely see at least 4 to 8 inches of snow. And I do believe it is on the table that we could see some localized areas receive close to 10 to 12 inches of snow, especially if those heavier bands end up aligning correctly. That is a possibility in southern Vermont and also back over near Lake Erie, where there is a possibility for some lake effect snow on top of what we are going to be seeing in terms of the snowfall. It is definitely looking likely that we could have a few significant areas of snow accumulation. But across the board, once again, we expect a widespread 3 to 7 inches of snow. And then there will definitely be some areas that fall into the 6 to 10 inch range. Again, isolated locations receiving over 10 inches certainly cannot be ruled out. But all in all, this is a nice winter storm to begin the season across the Northeast. Another big concern of mine with this storm is the threat of ice accumulation. Although this is not going to be a full-blown ice storm, there is a legitimate risk today and into early tomorrow that there will be some ice across parts of Arkansas, southern Missouri, eastern Oklahoma, western Tennessee, and back into Kentucky. And while this will not be fully widespread, it will be numerous enough to the point where any untreated roads could easily become slick. I am somewhat nervous that we will have some accidents today because of this ice across Arkansas. So please, make sure if you have any intention of traveling over the next 24 to 48 hours, you are taking it very slowly out there, especially in Arkansas or really anywhere that you see any pink shading on the map. Please keep in mind, we can still see ice accumulation outside of this specific area. And again, this is not 1/10 of an inch of ice for most of you, at least in these areas. This is only up to about 1/20th of an inch of ice. It might not sound like much, but again, it only takes a glazing of ice, which is less than 1/100th of an inch, for there to be slick roadways. And that could easily happen out here on untreated roads in the Ozarks. And then back over on the East Coast, this is where there's a more legitimate chance for more significant ice accumulation. By no means is this a major ice storm either, but we are likely going to see at least some scattered locations pick up around 1/10 of an inch of ice accumulation from freezing rain across areas in the Appalachian Mountains. Eastern Kentucky could also see some ice accumulation as well, up to about 1/20th of an inch of ice. But the point is, with ice accumulation like this, we have the potential for isolated power outages, especially in the Appalachian Mountains. And travel impacts are certainly on the table. So, please make sure that you are staying safe out there over the next 48 hours. Now, beyond this winter storm, we are going to have some more issues later this week, though nothing particularly major in terms of... Now, looking ahead to Wednesday, we are not expecting any significant snowfall, though there will be some light snow showers across the upper Midwest and into the Rockies. However, my attention is shifting toward the Gulf Coast, as we will need to watch that area carefully for our next storm system, which is expected to develop there on Thursday and Friday. This system will position itself over the southern plains late on Thursday, and it could bring some heavy rainfall and perhaps even some isolated severe weather right underneath a high-pressure system. That area of high pressure will be building across the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. Then, as we move into the end of the week, late Friday and into Saturday, a more substantial threat for isolated severe weather could develop right along the Gulf Coast. It is also possible that we could see some freezing rain or even snow reaching as far south as North Carolina and Virginia, and perhaps once again in the mid-Mississippi Valley on Friday. This is certainly a developing situation that we will need to monitor very closely for you. As we look toward next weekend, on Saturday and Sunday, conditions could become more active with the potential for another significant round of snow across the Midwest, possibly bringing around 3 to 6 inches. Now, looking even further ahead into the following week, it is important to remember this is a long-range forecast. However, one of our trusted forecast models is suggesting that our weather in mid-December could be quite active across the United States. We may have a couple of large storm systems to contend with, and a great deal will depend on what unfolds in the Pacific Ocean over the next 7 days or so. If a strong atmospheric river event develops in the Pacific Northwest, we could see a pattern similar to the one we experienced over the past week with 2 different winter storms. You may recall that one of those storms impacted the Midwest, while the second one moved through the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and into the Northeast. It is also worth noting that today marks the official beginning of meteorological winter, so this type of active weather is certainly something we can expect.